Ambassador, the East-West Troop Cut Conference resumes today after a one-month recess. Could you spell out briefly for us the two positions as they stand at the present?
Well, as I see it now, the positions differ fundamentally in one very important respect, is that the East side considers the actual relationship of forces as it exists in Europe as satisfactory. And that is why they base their proposals on that basis, and they start by proposing an equal cut of 20,000 men on each side, and then go on to propose equal proportions of 5% in the year following, that is to say 1976, and end up with a 10% cut in the year after, that is 77. These forced cuts would englobe all nationalities and all types of forces in the area. The West, on their side, they consider that what we are out to do here is to improve the actual situation, which is one of considerable instability, because there is a considerable force superiority on the eastern side. The East possesses in ground force 150,000 men more than we do, plus a superiority of 6,500 tanks. And that is a disparity, a one-sided disadvantage, which these negotiations should eliminate. And therefore, what we propose is a two-phased agreement whereby the first phase, for reasons of simplicity, for reasons of the responsibility which rests on the two major powers, the United States and Soviet Union, would be limited to a withdrawal of their troops, ground forces only, and that from then we would move on to a second phase in which we would reach a situation of approximate parity on both sides, always limited to ground forces only. That is to say that we exclude air force and nuclear arms from these negotiations, not because we do not realize their tremendous importance, but because these arms would take us beyond the area if we were to include them, and because they would make the whole subject matter by far more complicated than it already is.
In view of the differences, sir, that now exist, it would seem that a compromise would be the only possible solution. Is the West willing to meet the East halfway?
Well, I cannot speculate on possibilities of compromise now. We have laid our plans on the table, we've explained them, and what we are going to do now is to try and work out a common approach to the problem. And our first task is to try and simplify the whole problem and to engage the other side in a constructive, detailed discussion on the basis of our proposals, because we think they are the most simple. And we expect and hope to be able to convince the other side that to proceed in this manner would be the most efficient way to deal with this matter, and that they will come to realize that this common ceiling idea we have put forward is a political, military conception which will serve the whole process of détente, which is to say a process of cooperation in all fields of politics, economics, cultural relationships, and that in such a situation no side needs a superiority in force levels.
And how long, sir, do you think it will take for an agreement to be reached?
Well, if we can adopt this a simple method of dealing with this problem and simplify it and not overloading it, not taking too much hay on our forks, it should be possible to reach an agreement limited to Soviet, Russian, American forces in a first phase, and which is a first step towards this common ceiling, let us say by the end of this year or early next year.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, the East-West force cut talks resumed today after a one-month recess. Could you spell out for us briefly, sir, the two positions as they are at the moment? With the existing differences, what are the chances of a compromise? And is the West willing to meet the East halfway? How long do you think, sir, it will take for an agreement to be reached?